Track 14, Penny Lane. In Penny Lane there is a barber showing photographs of every head he's had the pleasure to know. Starts one of the best-known songs of the 60s. It ends, Penny Lane is in my ears and in my eyes. There beneath the blue suburban skies I sit. Along with Strawberry Fields, Penny Lane was released as a double A-sided single in February 1967. The Beatles producer, George Martin, considered it the greatest single ever produced by the boys. He wasn't a wholly independent bystander. He produced and orchestrated both songs and played the piano on Penny Lane. But the double A-side only reached the number 2 in the charts, the first Beatles single to miss the number 1 slot in 5 years. On the other hand, because the BBC counted each side as a separate single, it still meant that Penny Lane and Strawberry Fields outsold the number 1 single by almost 2-1, so maybe George Martin wasn't wrong after all. Penny Lane itself runs from a junction with the busy Allerton Road, one of the routes into town from John Lennon Airport up towards Sefton Park. When we talk about Penny Lane though, we also mean the busy shopping area around the junction. It's quite the tourist attraction. In the past, street signs saying Penny Lane were constantly being stolen and replaced by the council. Eventually, they gave up and began painting the street name on the sides of buildings. Then, a couple of years ago, they started installing more theft-resistant signs again. Some of them still disappear though. If you found the junction, you will see the shelter in the middle of the roundabout, now Sergeant Pepper's Bistro, and rather forlorn and deserted. With Penny Lane behind you, look behind the bistro to the left. Tony Slavin the barber shop is still there. And to the right on the corner so is the bank. It's now a Lloyd's TSB. One of the heads that the barber would have had the pleasure to know would most likely have been John's. For the first 5 years of his life, he lived at number 9 Newcastle Road with his mother's parents, opposite Penny Lane just 200 metres up Church Road. He will have walked every day down Penny Lane to Dovedale Road Primary School. George was also at school there, but because they were 3 years apart, they would not necessarily have met. Much later, John, now living with his Aunt Mimmy, would meet up with Paul to catch a bus into town at the Penny Lane junction. If you look at a map of Liverpool, you see that Penny Lane is right in the middle of 3 districts: Sefton Park, Wavertree and Mossley Hill. In different ways, you could say it had played a central role in the lives of the 3 of the 4 Beatles as well. You may have time to visit Dovedale School and Newcastle Road. When you return to Penny Lane, we will visit Paul's childhood home. On Allerton Road, take the 86 or the 86A for 2.5 kilometres to Mather Avenue and then walk to 20 Forth Lynn Road.